Today I will be discussing chapter 22 on pathogenic fungi. I will be doing slides 1 through 12 and then Brittany will do 12 through 24. The first thing about fungi is you need to know the epidemiology of mycosis. Fungi and the spores they produce are almost everywhere in the environment. It's found in soil, water, and on or in most multicellular organisms such as in plants or animals. And you can also get fungi in your system if you inhale it or from trauma or even ingesting it. It's infrequently from person to person, so it's rarely contagious. There are 4 different types of categories of diseased fungi, and then there is also an opportunistic type. The 4 types that cause disease are the Blastomyces dermatitis, the Coccidioides imititis, Histoplasma capsulatum, and Paracoccidioides brasiliensis. And then there's the opportunistic type, which only affects someone who has a compromised immune system, which is like the Candida albicans. And this is an example of a person who has the Blastomyces dermatitis. Okay. There are clinical manifestations of fungal diseases. They are grouped into 3 categories. Fungal infections are the most common types of mycosis, they're caused by the presence in the body of either true pathogens or opportunistic pathogens. And true pathogens can get inside even a healthy person who has a good immune system. Toxicosis, which is poisonings, and they're acquired through ingestion, and allergies, which they have hypersensitivity reactions. They most commonly result from the inhalation of fungal spores. There's different ways that you can diagnose a fungal infection. Microbiologists culture fungi collected from patients on Sabari dextrose agar, and they do it out of 3 different ways. There's the potassium hydroxide preparations, and that's basically they dissolve the keratin in the skin cells, leaving only fungal cells for examination. There's the Gomery methenamine silver stain, which is used on tissue sections to stain fungal cells, and it turns black. And then there's the direct immunofluorescence stains, which is also used to detect fungal cells in tissues. There are many antifungal therapies and vaccines. There are, you can take the amphotericin B, but it can be very toxic, so they use that in extreme cases. And then there are alternatives, the azole drugs, which is the ketoconazoles, itraconazoles, and fluconazole, which is another name is, I believe it's Flagyl. And then there's developing vaccines that they're trying to create for fungal infections, but it's very difficult because it can become virulent inside of the body and react. And then they're making a vaccine, they're looking into a vaccine for Candida because a lot of AIDS patients develop Candida from their immune system being so weak. And then there's systematic mycosis, which are those fungal infections that spread throughout the body. They result from either histoplasma, blastomyces, coccidioides, or paracoccidioides. They all are dimorphic, which means they can have 2 different forms. If it's histoplasmosis, the causative agent is an ascomycete, and the most common fungal pathogen. It's the most common fungal pathogen affecting humans. It's particularly prevalent in the eastern United States, and is found in most soils containing high levels of nitrogen, such as in bird droppings. The diagnosis is based on the identification of the distinctive budding yeast and prepared samples of skin scrapings, sputums, cerebrospinal fluid, or various tissues. And that's a picture of someone who has this. There is also blastomycosis, which is caused by another ascomycete, which is called Blastomyces dermatitis. It's endemic across southeastern United States north to Canada. It grows and sporulates in cool, damp soil rich in organic material, such as in decaying vegetation and animal waste. Diagnosis relies identification of B. dermatitis following culture or direct exam of various samples, such as the sputum and the bronchial washings, biopsies, cerebrospinal fluid, and skin scrapings. It's treated with amphotericin B for 10 weeks or longer, and this is a picture of someone who has that. Then I have coccidioidomycosis, which is caused by coccidioids and mites. It's found in southwestern United States. You can find it in desert soil, rodent burrows, archaeological remains, and mines. If inhaled, it can germinate in the lungs to produce spheral, and spheral matures and generates a large number of spores which rupture, and they can release spores into surrounding tissue such as in the lungs. 60% of the patients experience no symptoms or they're mild, and those cases, most of those resolve on their own. Identification is based on spherules and KLH or GMS treated samples, and this is a picture of somebody who has that. It's like lesions on their face. Then you have paracoccidioidomycosis, which is caused by another acecomycete, which is Paracoccidioides brasiliensis. It's found in cool, damp soil from southern Mexico to regions of South America, ranges from asymptomatic to symptomatic, and it becomes apparent as a pulmonary form. It's almost always spreads, producing a chronic inflammatory disease of mucous membranes. And it has a steering wheel formation, which is like on this picture. And now Brittany will present the rest of the slides.